That did just complete, so expecting them to reset that hold shortly. Clock, the hold is reset, clock is rolling.
Flight directors go for launch. Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, ignition. We have liftoff.
Pitching downrange.
Booster Raptor, chamber pressure nominal.
All right, we are T plus 30 seconds into flight, seeing 33 out of 33 Raptor 3 engines on booster V3, ascending over the Gulf now, coming up on maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Booster and ship, avionics power, telemetry nominal.
Systems looking good. We're just passing through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. A little over a minute into flight now. Vibrations chilling out here at Star Factory as we continue to watch Starship Flight 12 arc out over the Gulf. The next major thing coming up is going to be hot staging.
Booster prop systems nominal.
Reminder, we do what's our version of MECO. Most engines cut off, so we're going to shut down all but 5 of the Raptor engines on the booster. And then after that happens, we're going to ignite the 6 engines on ship while it is still attached. We have clamps that hold the 2 together. Those are going to retract inside of that hot stage ring, kind of protect them. Looks like we had one of the engines go out, still flying on 32 of the Raptor engines. But again, once we get the hot staging, those 6 engines on the ship are going to ignite. We're going to do it in a little bit different of a sequence on version 3. Essentially, those 3 RVAC engines will ignite first. Almost immediately after, just one of those central engines is going to ignite, and that's going to give the booster a bit of a kick, sending it in a known direction, followed shortly after by the other 2. We're through MECO.
Need separation.
There you go, successful hot staging separation. We are not seeing as many booster engines ignite as we expected for boost back, but we are seeing 6 good engines lit on ship. It looks like we just had an early boost back shutdown. Again, a reminder, the booster was planned to essentially head into the Gulf for a splashdown, but it has shut its engines down early on into boost back. And we just see one of the RVAC, so we're now running on 5 engines on ship. We do have engine out capability, so it's going to continue into its ascent. You got booster on the left there, ship on the right.
Ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
We're not planning on bringing the booster back for this flight, as this was the very first time. All right, so we're about 3 minutes, 50 seconds into today's flight. Just a reminder that the ship planned to burn its engines for about 8 minutes and change. About 8 minutes and 11 seconds was our planned timeline for today. That could shift slightly as we do have one engine out, running on one fewer RVACs. Again, continuing to watch. So booster did not complete its boost back burn. We did not see all of the engines ignite that we expected. Are continuing to get some views from it, though. That's going to make a splashdown somewhere in the Gulf. Reminder: we clear air, sea space, everything for these launches. All right, so we are coming up on T plus 5 minutes. Ship continuing to fire 5 of the 6. Standing by for callouts, making sure ship's on its planned trajectory. Again, we are planning a suborbital trajectory for the ship today. Booster giving us some views as it continues to make its way back down towards the water. All right, so a little over 5.5 minutes in flight. Kate, Jake, you guys with me? It looks like booster's starting to come in hot.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to stand outside to watch launch, and wow, that was incredible.
Yeah, that was really loud, really shaky, and I was actually surprised how fast the booster got off the pad, or the whole stack. That was quite incredible.
Absolutely. So we have views here from the booster coming back down, making its way into the Gulf. Pretty cool to see.
We have healthy chamber pressures on 5 out of 6 ship Raptor engines.
Great news there
Landing
for
startup.
Starship. Once again, we were not going to bring the super heavy booster back to the tower. We were planning on having it land in the Gulf.
And it looks like the booster ended its mission there in the Gulf, but we've got a ship still flying. Great to see that. Still have 5 out of 6 engines there on S39.
Yes, we also heard good chamber pressures as well on those engines that are lit. We do have engine out capability. We do see that we have one of the RVAC, one of the Raptor vacuum engines that is currently out, but that's okay. Ship is continuing on. Amazing views of planet Earth there in the background.
Yeah, I love the S39 decal there. That just gives the ship a little bit of character. And again, all these great views brought to you by Starlink, of course.
Yeah, obligatory shout out to the entire Starship avionics, camera, electronics team. Did a whole lot of work to get these upgraded cameras. A look inside of the ship skirt, you can see those 3 center engines ignited. The RVACs continuing to fire as well. We did see at least a couple engines fire up on booster for that landing burn before we lost contact with it. We should have just a little over 20 seconds to go. We'll see if the burn extends a little bit for the engine out. Essentially, you can run your engines a little bit longer or throttle up a little bit more to account for the one engine not being lit. So right now we are standing by for SECO. And again, we are continuing to go a little bit longer. Five engines still burning on ship. We are coming up on T plus 9 minutes. And starting to see shutdown. RVACs have shut down. Sea levels are shut down. Seeing if we can get an update on the ship orbit insertion, but we have shut down again. We did run longer as we were engine out. We were flying with 5 of those 6 Raptors pretty much the whole time.
Ship FTS is saved.
All right, well, we definitely got a ship in space right now. Eliminate the ship's heat shield while we fly away from it, so we see some PES motion. Pew. 2 down, 20 to go. As a reminder, that's one of the things that we upgraded in version 3, kind of gave a little soup up to the PES dispensers, so those satellites going to move out a little bit quicker than they did on previous Starship flight tests. So first 2 out the door, 2 more on their way out. All right, 4 down, 18 to go. Flexing my basic math skills here today. Again, the majority of this stack, 20 of these 22 satellites, they're essentially just mass simulators, so they're roughly the same size as those Starlink V3 sats that we're hoping to fly later this year. And from this top-down view, so you're looking down at the stack, those 2 satellites you see on the very top, that they'll look very different. They've got solar arrays, they've got a bunch of other deployables on them that we're going to be testing out that are going to be V3 tech, and they've got 3 engineering cameras and then 1 other camera that's hopefully going to be giving us some views of Starship in space. But we will see how that works. Again, this very much a tech demo. We're going to deploy those. The satellite's going to kind of try and turn everything on, look back at Starship, and the primary reason we're trying to do this is to get some views of the heat shield. All right, 2 more out the door.
2 more out the door, and I think that counts, or that comes up to 8 total.
As you can tell, the teams are stoked to see this demonstration happening. It's pretty incredible to see this happening live from space. Now, as we noted earlier in the show, but worth repeating, this Starship, version 3, is built to deploy up to 60 of Starlink's more advanced V3 satellites. Everything's V3. Designed to offer 60 terabits per second of downlink capacity per satellite. Now, that is 20 times more than each Falcon 9 does today. Incredible.
All right, I think that's number 10 going out the door. Yeah, there it goes. So yeah, the camera view you have on your left screen there is basically right at the bottom of the payload volume. So the kind of dome-shaped structure you see there that's actually the top of the fuel tank.
Then the camera view that you have on the right is an external camera that we have positioned so that you can see basically the light through the open PEZ dispenser door that you see. That's that sliver of light. We can see the Starlinks here deploying as each one comes through. As we mentioned, we have 20 of these Starlink simulator satellites, and then we have 2 of these specially modified, as we call them, Dodger dogs here around here. Those, as Dan mentioned earlier, they have some V3 tech on them, some solar arrays, and those will be the last 2 that will be deployed today.
Yeah, that's right. And seeing this, as I think Dan called them turbocharged or supercharged PEZ dispenser, it's definitely coming out much faster than our previous flights. So that is really good to see. Yeah, look at that. And especially once we, fill Starship up all the way with around 60 or so of these Starlinks, being able to deploy them fairly expediently is going to be important for designing the overall mission profile.
Yeah. Now, fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables lots of unprecedented views, both from space, as we see here, and on Earth. In addition to the dozens of cameras on Starship itself, we also have mobile Starlink camera kits deployed in the Indian Ocean.
Yes, Starlink also connects our aerial cinematography units on the ground at Starbase and at other strategic camera spots around Texas.
It's all part of how it all comes together to tell the incredible story of Starship both on and off planet.
Yep.
All right, we're getting low on the stack. It looks like we got 2 more of those simulators to go out, and then it will be time for our Dodger Dogs, those modified Starlink satellites. Just a couple of updates while we continue to watch payload deploy. Did get confirmation we're going to be skipping that relight of the Raptor engine, just due to everything that we saw on the way uphill. Those sea level engines, we're going to use them for a landing burn, though. They are still capable to be used for that. So we'll still look to do a controlled landing in the Gulf, but no in-space relight. All right, I think that's 19 and 20 headed out the door. And then coming up are our Dodger Dogs. So these are modified V2 Starlink satellites. We do have a number of cameras on these that are going to attempt to look back at Starship. We're not going to get this video in real time, but we're going to try and turn it around if we do get some video down. So don't worry, if we get views of Starship from these satellites, we will be sharing. And these will be exciting because, again, they're really a tech demo, getting our chance to test out some of the technologies for version 3. All right, I think that's 18 and 20. My basic math skills are failing now. All right, here we go.
We're standing by for Starship, basically to serve the first Dodger Dogs to low Earth orbit.
And one out the door. And from this view, you can kind of see on the right side of the satellite, you see some bright white spots. Those are our flashlights. Beneath them, the camera is going to attempt to look back and image Starship's heat shield as it falls. And there it goes. Let there be light.
Yeah, it almost looks like the light is just shining right at us there.
If you couldn't tell, we're pretty excited.
Yeah.
It is always sunny in space.
Always sunny in space, and that looks like an empty payload bay. So
Sure does.
that's exactly what you want to see there. That's great. So yeah, with payload deploy complete. Oh, you can see the door closing there. All right, there we go. So yeah, with payload deploy complete, Starship will now close its... yeah, Starship, we closed the payload door, and we're going to continue to coast around Earth all the way to the Indian Ocean. So still a lot of major events to come today. Sounds like we're not going to hit that Raptor relight based on what Dan was saying, but after that, of course, we'll have the atmospheric reentry and splashdown. And with that, we're going to go on another quick coast.
Welcome back to Starship Flight 12, the first test flight of Starship version 3. As Dan mentioned earlier, we were able to make contact with the modified satellites just shortly after deployment. And as you may have seen, we got some sweet views of those sats looking back at the ship. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, those views were incredible.
Now,
Going to start really
Ship
getting
is
put
approaching
through
the
ringer.
end of the peak heating region.
Just heard the call out, getting to the end of the peak heating, so the highest temperature the Starship's going to see during its reentry.
this camera angle changes as it is attached to the forward flap on Starship. So we're actually experiencing the articulation of that hardware, helping to steer the ship down for its precise landing in the Indian Ocean.
Yep, that is just a really cool, kind of cool piece of perspective there. I know some people say it makes them a little seasick, but I definitely love it. It makes it feel like you're really riding along with the ship on the way down.
Yeah, and aside from just looking cool, all these camera views providing just really critical data on how the heat shield, how the flaps themselves are holding up. That's why we've got these in the flaps and then all scattered all around the ship so you can see how they hold up. There's some internal to the vehicle too and we're getting all of this video back via Starlink. Even as we're just enshrouded in plasma, we're able to kind of operate at a high enough frequency to punch through and
to burn off all of that inertia that the vehicle had prior to re-entering the atmosphere.
Yeah, and you can tell by the G meter down on the bottom right that we're starting to pick up a couple more Gs here, so we're definitely entering the thicker part of the atmosphere where we're scrubbing off all that energy, like Kate's saying.
All right, just about 5 minutes or so to go. We're coming up shortly on the maneuver where we're going to, it's affectionately called the flap slap, where we're going to kind of pitch the nose up on the ship, and you're going to see those aft flaps, the ones in the very bottom, fully deploy.
Ship is at peak dynamic pressure.
And we're now at peak pressure.
Ship flap load test has started.
Looks like it's holding. Again, the intent of that was to put just a lot of extra stress on those aft flaps. We are expecting the forward ones too to see a little bit of extra stress, as we've got a little more propellant in our header tank, so the area right at the very nose of
Ship
Starship.
flap load test is complete.
And we're through that test. Hopefully we've got
Ship is starting the RTLS banking maneuver.
And that right there, so we're starting a banking maneuver, and essentially what that is when we come back to Starbase, or when we plan to come back to Starbase, the trajectory is designed so we'll essentially swing out over the Gulf and do a swoop maneuver to then come back to the towers for catch. And so we are doing that exact same maneuver as we head towards our targeted splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, and that call out there that we heard, RTLS, stands for Return to Launch Site. So definitely a pretty cool thing we're demoing here on the ship, you know, as in the future we are going to be trying to bring the ship back to the launch site, which is going to be absolutely insane.
Absolutely. But of course we want to test out these maneuvers, these principles, prior to actually bringing the hardware back to the pad. This is the same reason why we were intentionally not trying to bring the booster back to the pad. So we're trying all these things out in this developmental phase of the vehicle, and really proving what a test flight is.
Absolutely.
Dynamic pressure is coming down.
All right, we heard there dynamic pressure coming down, and I'd say we're in a pretty good bank right now.
Yeah, executing the power slide. We're about 90 seconds away from our anticipated landing burn. Clouds coming up, pretty sunrise on the other side of the planet.
Starship is subsonic and is on target.
The crowd here reacting to that call out, letting us know that we are on target for this precise landing in the Indian Ocean. This will once again be a soft splashdown. We should get some pretty cool views from the recovery team.
Yeah, you can see the aft flap there making minor corrections.
Starship is turning for final approach to landing site.
Look at that turn.
There we go. Minor corrections and a full turn.
Yeah, Starship doesn't fly like an airplane. It's a lot more like a skydiver. Full belly flop on the way down, using those flaps similar to arms to help change the path of the air over you. Coming up real soon. Again, going for a landing burn, trying to light 2 of these Raptor sea level engines.
Landing burn startup.
Landing burn startup. 2 engines lit. Successful flip. Buoy cam
Starship is
catching
landed.
it.
Good shut time.
as weird as it may sound to hear, but it is the truth.
Absolutely wild. At the beginning of the show,
We're pretty hyped.
we guaranteed excitement at the beginning of the show, and I'd say Starship delivered.
Absolutely. An incredible day for Starship. That was the first flight of that completely redesigned vehicle. As you can tell, the teams are incredibly proud of what we just saw.
Yeah, V3 definitely showed up. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've pretty happy crowd in the control room behind me, I will say. It's probably the most excited I've seen a lot of people in a really long time. On target landing. Wow. Actually